welcome to 15 Minute Coffee. My name is Alan, and I'm here today with Tom Fox. So Tom, you founded and run 536. You started in 2017. Yeah, tell us a little bit about 536, the journey, and how it's going.
Yeah, so myself and my business partner Marcus McDonald founded it, trading since 2017. So we're actually all school friends, and we kind of had a career path, I suppose, both in sports in some way. So he was working for the NBA in London, and then for Pitch International, which is a media rights company. I was working for Santa Sports. Then in Twitter, I was looking after a kind of sports mobile vertical. And I remember having lunch with him one day in the Twitter office, came in for a free lunch, and he was saying that he's seen this kind of trend in kind of media rights world where sponsors and brands are active in sport, but they don't know what they're doing, they don't know how to produce good content, they don't know how to activate it. And he was saying, I'm thinking of setting a kind of a content type business. So then that kind of conversation evolved, and I'd been kind of looking for something to do my own thing. I knew it'd be around sports, but I didn't know what it would be. But I was kind of itchy at that point to get on Twitter. And then I suppose where we landed with the company was that there's a big gap around sports in producing really good content for a sector that's so rich in emotion and passion and fandom. There's just a real lack of it for whatever reason. But there's also a massive gap in connecting with fans through digital channels, being able to convert them. Probably a little bit more of my background, just from Twitter and media stuff. So that was the kind of genesis of the company. Really was being able to connect with fans, being able to produce really high quality video and content, make them feel something, but also be able to drive commercial value. Broadly, we've been stayed true to that. I would say it's probably evolved into more of a full service sports marketing agency. I guess for some companies we work as a creative agency, a media agency, a production company. We've kind of tacked on a kind of a data services product now as well. So we're pretty rounded full service sports marketing agency now. About half our client base in the UK and half in Ireland, and we're kind of looking at other markets now. And then I suppose we kind of work with two profile of customer. One is like a rights holder, which is a club league federation. So like the FAI or Leinster Rugby or Jacksonville Jaguars, one of these guys. And then the other is like a brand who has a sponsorship property in sport, and they're looking to activate that. So that's kind of where we're at. It's been a great journey, very interesting, very fulfilling, and feels in many ways like we started yesterday, and I feel in many ways like it's been 20 years.
Yeah, that's how these things go, isn't it? It flies by. So what's been the hardest decision for you, or the hardest thing for you to do in that process?
God, there's been a good few, and probably a lot we've got wrong over time. I would say mainly what I've learned is that in effect we are a service business. So we don't have software, we don't have technology. So people pay for people. They're like, you guys know the industry, you know the things. So they employ us on that basis. So I think the hardest stuff always comes down to people. I would say we've always worked with people or hired people that we want to work with, because life's short, and you could hire like a gun who's really hard to work with, but what does that achieve? And sometimes it just doesn't work out for whatever reason, on your side, on their side, role, culture. So I think any decisions you have to make collectively, with the person and people, especially for a kind of small, medium business like we are, and that's challenging. I personally find it very difficult to separate the kind of the personality piece with the kind of like business decision. Kind of that kind of balance or axis of like, the kind of parking the emotion at the door and being able to just like, I find that challenging. I don't want to speak for Marcus, but I'm sure he does too. So anything revolving around that has probably been the hardest. And then, there's a million things on the client side that I've been chats.
I suppose that's the downside of dealing with, like, hiring people that you, or dealing with people that you get along with. It's like you get along with them for a reason, and it's like it's hard to not invest in the relationship, outside of the business. So it's like, I suppose it's the same with any relationship. It's like if you're putting anything into a relationship, but when that ends, even if it is a mutual thing, it's like it's still difficult.
Big time. And like, I think what I undervalued in previous roles, because kind of working for big companies like Twitter, is that like you live a life with these people.
Yeah.
You spend so much time with them, and things happen. Like bereavements happen, like weddings happen, new babies happen. Like, and you're kind of in some ways living that with those people. You're it's a big seminal moments in people's lives, and you become quite attached, I guess, to people for various different ways. It's hard to do that on one hand,
Yeah.
and on the other hand, saying, "Hey, I'm fucking running a business here." So yeah, but look, I mean, we've been very lucky. We work with great people, but sometimes either through like freelance network or it just for whatever reason either side doesn't work out, and that's not easy.
But on your sort of past, you worked for Twitter for 4 years before it became X, and then you've been running an agency for nearly 10 years. You have a good sort of eye on marketing, but I'm gonna ask you a big question now. But like, what's your sort of state of play view on the marketing world at the minute?
I mean, broadly speaking, in terms of the marketing world, I think it's just a time of massive change driven by, a bunch of different elements. Consumer habits have changed drastically in the last 10 or 15 years. Technology has changed drastically the last 10 or 15 years. It's a time of flux, I would say. There's just like, it's a kind of trope that goes out a lot, but you're in this attention economy now, like where the first screen's the phone, second screen is the TV or the laptop, whatever, and then just cluttered. It's really cluttered. There's a lot out there for people content wise. I remember when sports doc came out like 10 years ago, it'd be like an appointment of view. I'd be like, wow, there's this doc coming out on, the Lions or a football team, whatever. Like, I can't wait to watch that. Now I'm like, has there been one in City? Has there been one in Spurs? I think there's another Lions one out this year. Like, they've done everything has been, it's just, it's just like a crazy amount of stuff out there, and cutting through, I think, is just hard now. And I think one thing I'd probably have just a red flag of, and it's a little bit strange to say it coming from a media background, but I think people can get a little bit lost in the metrics because it's such a digital age now.
Yeah.
3-second views on Meta don't tell a story of a brand. You're like, oh, it should be optimized for this because people don't watch past this. I think ultimately people watching the stuff that's good, or engage with stuff that's good, or feels authentic or true, or has purpose. I'd just be wary as technology advances and people get more heavily reliant on data analysis and metrics, that you might lose some of the maybe original thought, which is like, let's produce really good creative campaigns to tell people what we do and encourage them to, buy our product.
The other element I wanted to touch on in marketing was AI, because I sort of worked in marketing, and I left my role last year, and one of the like things I was seeing as I was leaving was just like the scale of AI produced content in like copy. It's like you mentioned earlier, like the amount of clutter, and I just see AI making that, supercharging that. So like, how do you see that unfolding when it's before AI is sort of boomed, it's already sort of feeling cluttered? So how is that going to, I just feel like it's going to absolutely obliterate everything.
I'm really worried about it. Yeah. To be honest, more generally as a society level, marketing, we can go there. We got a marketing generally, but I think you're in this AI arms race now, effectively. Saw DeepSeek come out last week, this new platform, which is a fraction of the investment of OpenAI and these guys. There will be this arms race to be one step ahead in the AI race, but to what end? Like, I was listening to an interview on OpenAI a year or two ago, and it was regarding Sam Altman. They were like, these guys literally want to change the world. They want to cure cancer. That is the purpose. My fear is that just greed and capitalism will take over, and it'll just be like, driven by that, and it'll just be one step ahead. Where does it end? Like, we're so early in AI.
Yeah.
Like, really, in terms of like companies and people using it on a day-to-day basis. And you see already the scale of pace. In terms of marketing, I guess what people say in our industry is that like, you'll always need proper creativity. AI is there as enhancements, is to help. The way we use it now is, it's probably more just around efficiencies, to analyze, data really quickly. It's been able to like, improve landing page copy. It's been able to, kind of unpick kind of insights potentially, or certainly the step before that, kind of information to drive insight. I mean, I've no idea that's if it's going to remain as such. If we're saying that kind of idea, that creativity will always exist and this will be amplified. I mean, who can say that with authority?
Yeah.
Really? I mean, I think in terms of media-based agencies and stuff, you can definitely see AI just taking over there. Like, will you need humans to run meta campaigns in 4 or 5 years' time? Will that just be increasingly automated and technology driven? I would hope just, that from a marketing lens, that it remains as an amplifier. But we're already seeing, I went to an AI event in London last year and OpenAI did a demo. The short version is they basically got to analyze massive amount of data, produce insights on the spot through Python, had this incredible insight-driven data set. Then they said, we're going to create a video on the spot. They fed in a quick storyboard thing to the product. And then, during the time they were on stage, there was a high quality video produced. So, I mean, if that's happening now,
Yeah.
where is it going to be?
And that's the thing. It's like everyone says like, oh, it's early days. But like this pace that is changing is insane.
Insane. Would you have trust in the people at the helm of it? That's the other question. Like when I was at Twitter, I was very early in the company from a Europe or Dublin point of view. I think one of the first 30, and there was a genuine sense of we were changing the world for the better. Like people fully believed it. I remember sitting in meetings and there were people saying, "What do you like about working in Twitter?" Like one of these, some guy put up his hand. He's like, a lot of companies I worked in said they want to change the world for the better. He's like, now I believe in a company that actually is doing that. And there's social media's role and Arab Spring, and you felt like you were part of something, or certainly we were drinking the Kool-Aid.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I don't think any people would say that now.
No.
About technology companies when you look at the organization.
And it's so funny you say that, because it's like the fact, like the I suppose the clear-eyed optimism that was there when social media was coming around, and it's like it's gonna democratize the internet, it's gonna give people voices, and it has. Like there is so much good, and like it's given a lot of people voices, but it's also like you said, like I think looking at it now and looking at like the amount of power that it's given these people, like you said, the inauguration, like sitting up on stage was the 4 or 5 people who own these platforms, which your business is built on. There's so much on it.
Yeah, they kind of paraded like trophies in the second. I think the actual cabinet were behind them. A lot of these people are like, interestingly, are like, okay, liberal by nature, or certainly in the past. I think obviously things changed, or maybe the Biden administration, but I mean, best case, I would say, you would say they're swimming with the political tides. Worst case, I mean, so for one or two of them, there's maybe more, kind of bigger agendas or more worrisome agendas at play. But certainly, I think my sense is that 10 or 15 years ago, these people would have been held up as, they are doing really good in the world. Not only they're connecting people, and that they have this kind of like overarching positive mission, but they're also massive philanthropists. And, I'm sure they are to some extent still, but I just don't believe that they are held up in such regard anymore, potentially, for obvious reasons, really.
I want to finish off.
But also, these tech companies are amazing for marketing purposes.
Yeah, well, where do you stand on that? Where it's like your personal beliefs, you see the issues in it, but you also see like the good that the work you're creating is doing for these teams and people and fans, and there's so much good in it. Like, how do you peddle that?
Well, I mean, probably not very well. I think that these media and tech platforms are epicenter of what we do ultimately, and they're a brilliant way to reach fans, to connect with people, to drive marketing return for our clients. All you can do is really hope that that they kind of stay true to their original purpose, I suppose. But they can be very powerful for good. I mean, me personally, I left X for, when it started to be kind of tweaked and I guess rebuilt with different algorithm structures and all that kind of thing. And I joined Blue Sky. But I have to say, I do find myself just being thrown back in because it's a little bit vacuous in Blue Sky. And I guess one of my fears is, which I think we were chatting about before, just messaging, is that like you kind of end up, you have this massive and increasing divide between kind of like left and right beliefs and ideology, and now this kind of culture war that's happening. And I guess my fear is that that's accentuated by kind of left-leaning platforms or right-leaning platforms, that you'll have this kind of X will become this kind of like Truth Social kind of, this is where kind of, right-leaning conversation happens. And if you're not that, you're going to be lambasted, and then other ones become like, that's not I think a world we want.
Yeah.
Because we want that kind of center ground where people are open-minded, there's a reason to debate, and I don't think that's gone, from X. It's certainly been tweaked, but yeah, I have to say I do find myself being drawn back in just because a lot of my interests still live there.
Honestly though, Tom, I'm in the exact same boat. Like I deleted X, went on Blue Sky, and immediately like I still do it, where I delete X off my phone, re-download it, be on it for a while, delete it again, because I'm just like, there's so much here where I'm like, And maybe there's an element of it where there's a reason that you get sucked into it, because it is like a platform for, like, it's designed to suck you in. And Trump used X or Twitter to like a extreme level when he was running the first time and the second. Like, it's a great platform for good and bad, but I think it's also, yeah, it's so hard to peddle being, I suppose, not wanting to remove yourself from the world. It's like you don't want to cut yourself off from
Yeah, exactly.
these things.
Yeah, exactly.
Thanks, Tom. Appreciate it.
Oh, bother. Thank you very much.